SFP-NOW. Listening to GenreTainment. And here are your hosts, Marx and Julie.
Okay, hello and welcome to this special New Year's edition, or the eve of New Year's edition of SFP Now and
GenreTainment. Sorry, I missed my cue.
right here on Sci-Fi Pulse Radio. And we got some special guests with us today. Obviously, Marx and Julie are joining us from GenreTainment as always, but we've invited some people back that we like so much. We just thought we'd have them back. So
yeah, why don't you introduce yourselves?
Hey, I'm Jeff Burns from Super Geeked Up. Happy to be here, back doing this year-end show, and happy birthday to Ian.
And I'm Katharine Dow, a collaborator with Marx and Jeff on our recent book, Dragons of a Different Tale.
Mm-hmm. Cool. That's actually the first plug we've got into that. For those that haven't listened to us before, Dragons of Different Tale is a new anthology book that was released back in November, and it's a really good book. 17 different writers, 17 different...
18 writers. Marx and I co-wrote a short story.
Yeah, throws everybody off.
17 stories, 18 authors.
Okay, 17 stories and 81 authors.
We need to have kids co-write next time and be like 17 and a half.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's a great book. I recommend you guys check it out. It's available now to buy on Amazon, and hopefully by the time this show goes out, it will also be available to buy as a paperback.
Yep,
it is. It's available at Barnes and Nobles too.
Yeah, you can get it on paperback with Barnes and Noble. There. Yeah, they'll deliver it within a week. So we have some people have already got their books.
Yep,
and so
I got my copy. It looks great.
Okay, well, what we're going to do in this show is normally we do a top 5 best of TV and movies and whatever else. Well, this year we're doing it a bit different. We're just going to do a top 2, and maybe we'll do one honorable mention for each thing, and we'll take it from there. So, what do you guys want to start on TV or film?
How about TV?
Movies. Okay, TV.
Oh. Okay,
that's what
movies is fine. Whatever.
Let's do movies.
No, it's your show. Just do TV.
Let's do movies.
Let's do movies. Yeah, I like movies.
Let's do movies first. That's probably easy because TV is so much.
There's so much TV. There's less movies.
Yeah, and I'm not completely decided on my TV yet.
No, I can't.
It's tough. Yeah,
I really can't. There's just too many.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we'll go with movies first. Who would like to go first?
Not all at first.
Everyone, don't jump in at once.
Here, I'll go first then. So it was tough to pick. Well, and super tough. There wasn't like that many movies, but there was a few different ways I could have went with it. So I went with The Suicide Squad.
The Suicide Squad.
Not to be confused with
Not to be confused with Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad. Because I liked the bold vision and style to it that Gunn brought. And it was, it's pretty violent, but it was very true to the comic books. And, it
can't be too bad if even I can watch it.
That's true. And I think there was a lot of really good scenes and complex storytelling there. I'm disappointed by a lot of the DC movies, but this one did not disappoint me. Yeah. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So, doesn't mean I want all of them to have that style or anything, but it worked really well for the Suicide Squad. And then I would have to say, for me, and I'm sure some of you probably have one or more of these picks, it was kind of like a three-way tie in a way because I just love Marvel and it's tough to pick between them. So like Eternals that just came out recently, Shang-Chi and Black Widow. I like them all a lot for very different reasons. They're very different movies. I think Eternals is probably would inch it the way to the top a little bit just because it's so different of a vision from the other Marvel movies and has so much potential for the future if they keep making them. But they were all really, really excellent in their own ways. So
yeah, I've not seen Eternals yet. I've seen Shang-Chi and I've seen Black Widow, and I enjoy both those, but not seen Eternals yet. Because I'm kind of still weary of going to the cinema a little bit.
Well, for me, I'm kind of, well, I mean, Marx and I obviously for the most part watch the same movies. So it's hard to get a
Hallmark
huge...
movies. She watches a lot of those.
Yeah, I do watch those. It's hard to get a huge amount of variety. I would have to pick top 2 plus honorable mention. I'm not sure exactly how I'd order it, but I would say The Suicide Squad, Shang-Chi, and Black Widow.
Not Eternals?
No, I honestly, I liked it, but I liked the other 3 better, to be honest. Okay. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I thought as far as Marvel movies go, I liked Shang-Chi, and it's funny because Black Widow was always like, I always thought the weakest character in the Avengers. Like they didn't do anything. She just stood around and posed and stuck out her lips and her butt and her boobs, and she didn't really do much of anything for most of the movies.
With her little pistols.
Yeah, I mean, she just was so wasted. I mean, she was such a wasted character that when they finally did the Black Widow movie, it was funny. They did poke fun at the whole posing thing. I liked her better. I mean, honestly, I like her sister better than her, but I just thought that it finally, I mean, it took them long enough to actually make her a real character. And she did, you know, I mean, when they finally were like, oh, we'll actually write her like an actual character, she was good, you know? And then Shang-Chi was just really fantastic. I mean, there's just so much great about that movie. I couldn't. And yeah, The Suicide Squad was just, it was really brilliant, to be honest. I mean, and I just keep going back to the scene where we see the violence from Harley Quinn's perspective with the flowers, the cartoons and everything. Yeah. I mean, it was just so great to get that insight. And
I mean, they made Polka Dot Man really interesting.
I know, and Polka Dot Man, whenever at the end is like, that's your mom. And you know, it's like everything he sees is his mother. And you see from they showed things from the different perspectives, and they were just so, it's hard to have an ensemble cast where everybody is that balanced and that good and that interesting. But they managed it.
I liked how she had learned from her romantic mistakes.
Yeah, yes. I do too. I mean, honestly, in a way, I would say Harley Quinn's gotten more evolved, and she's probably more self-aware than the average person at this point. She's just got such a thin grasp on reality.
I think Margot Robbie is sort of like probably perfect casting for that character.
Oh, she's great.
I remember her way back when she was in an Australian soap that we watch every day here in the UK called Neighbours.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
And she played a character called Donna Friedman. She was a series regular for about 2-3 years, and then all of a sudden she disappeared off the map, and then she was a Hollywood star.
It's funny how that happens.
Happened to a lot of Australian soap actors, though. I mean, a lot of the, Hemsworth, who plays Thor, he used to be in a soap, an Australian soap called Home and Away. And Russell Crowe was actually in Neighbours. He was basically in maybe 1 or 2 episodes of Neighbours as kind of like a bit of a throwaway character.
It's amazing.
Well, I remember years ago on All My Children, Josh Duhamel was a regular on there. And I remember telling my mom, I said, I don't think he's going to last very long on this soap. He strikes me as he's going to go primetime and maybe movies shortly after this. And he did. He didn't stick around nearly as long.
I mean, I love watching vintage TV shows sometimes to see, for example, in old episodes of Dallas. Yeah, shocker. I used to watch Dallas. You had Brad Pitt, and he was basically Lucy Ewing's boyfriend for a time.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah. I mean, it's so funny because for the longest time we thought of George Clooney as that cute young fella from Roseanne. Yeah, actually, The Facts of Life and Roseanne, and then ER. Yeah,
crazy.
Gotta start somewhere.
I love how we're discovering Ian's love of soap operas.
Yeah. I love that. I was just now watching Clint Eastwood on before we came out here to watch this. I was watching him on Rawhide, so it's like his early work.
It's really, really funny actually, because I'm not really a fan of soap operas as such.
You say that,
But yet,
Just like Mark says he's not a fan of soaps or Hallmark stuff, but he knows about as much about the stuff as I watch as I do.
because you're watching it in the background.
He watches When Calls the Heart, doesn't he?
I haven't actually watched that one.
Yeah,
I like a lot of the mystery movies the most.
Yeah, they got pretty good mystery movies.
They got good mystery movies.
They do have a lot of mystery movies.
Yeah, the Movies and Mysteries channel. That's my favorite. I usually watch most of the mysteries.
It's kind of mysterious how one kind of melds into another.
Uh-huh.
Love is a mystery.
That said, I do like holiday stuff too. I got to be in the mood for it.
All right, who's got another picks?
Yeah, who's got other picks for movies?
Okay.
I can go next.
Go for it.
Okay, so my favorite, the first choice is this movie called Free Guy. It's kind of a sci-fi comedy, but also it's speaking of love stories, I feel like it was the best romantic comedy of 2021, even though it also fits under the science fiction category.
We've been wanting to watch that. It's supposed to be great.
It's so good.
I can't wait to watch it. It's
so
on Disney
good.
Plus now, so I got to see it.
Yeah, it's surprising. Like, it's much better than I thought it would be. Even I just thought, it'll be some, kind of entertaining, but it actually I thought was really clever.
Yeah, did you say it was on Disney Plus now?
It is. Yep.
Oh wow!
Sweet.
Guess we're watching tonight.
Guess what we're watching.
It's been on
At least
Disney.
that's what I was told. I believe that.
Yeah,
It's been on Disney Plus for quite a while. I watched it when it first came on Disney Plus because I'd heard all the hype.
Yeah.
Well, it's probably different in Britain versus
Yeah,
the
maybe.
US.
Okay, and what's your other choices?
The other one, okay, this is going to sound a little, I feel like it's a little basic, but I really love Dune. I went into that movie with really low expectations. I thought the cinematography would be great, but otherwise I wasn't so sure, and I know people have a lot of strong opinions, because between the book and the earlier film version, but I really didn't. And my confession is I've never actually read Dune. And I know it's one of those things I
haven't read it either.
Oh, okay, thank you.
I've not.
I had to read it for Seaton Hill. So
okay.
classic.
Yeah, it's been on my bookshelf for years, and I just can't do
There's
it.
only so many hours in a day.
Yeah. So I felt like I was going into that film really kind of like as fresh and sort of without any particular opinion about how it was supposed to go as you can be, with something that's really got a lot of hype around it. But what I loved about it was it's a fairly long film, but I didn't realize it while watching it, because even though it's slow, they do such a good job of building the tension and anxiety and a feeling of dread, throughout the whole thing. So it was very emotionally intense, in my experience. So I thought it was fantastic. I was really blown away. So that's my second pick.
This isn't Marx's fault. We tried watching it. I fell asleep not even halfway through. And so I've never gotten... we haven't finished it. I think, it seemed, I even told him, I said it was good. It's just, it was late. I was tired and the lights were out.
Fair enough.
And it was really long.
I did it. I went to a matinee. So
yeah, that's probably a better choice. It's like, let's watch a 4-hour movie starting at midnight and do it in the dark.
We had HBO Max, so it was, we're
and then I get the whole, how could you fall asleep? Gee, I don't know.
Yeah, try it again. I think if you're well rested, you will enjoy it.
Yeah, we will for sure. Yeah. So you weren't confused at all by anything, right? The world building worked for you?
Yeah, I was fine. I had no problem.
Okay.
So, and I probably people who know it better had very strong opinions about the interpretation, but coming in fairly, knowing the general idea of Dune, but not being, a huge fan, I guess you could say, it was no problem following along.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the sands, the worms.
Yeah, I wish they showed more worms.
Worms and worm poop.
Freaking like the worm. You only see the worm like freaking once.
Yeah, we needed more worms.
Yeah. Whenever people mention Dune, I'm like, oh, the one where the worm poop is valuable. Like, it just, I can't get past that.
That makes sense.
It's a planet where everybody gets high on
off
worm
of
poop.
worm poop. I'm sorry. I just have a bit of a mental block about people wanting to ingest and otherwise use worm poop.
It's interesting because I guess the movie was well done because I didn't even think about it. I was just like, yeah, okay.
That literally is the very first thing. Anytime
As
anyone
one
mentions
should.
Dune, whenever I start watching it, we even at the beginning started watching it, and I'm like, and this is all over giant earthworm poop. Like, I just cannot wrap my head around it.
Yeah. What I want to know, because I've not seen it, I've seen the original Dune, the one that was done in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of the first time seeing that, I thought it was boring. The second time seeing it, I thought it was kind of interesting. Because basically there was an age difference. First time I seen it was about 10.
Yeah,
it's not a good movie for 10-year-old.
No, it's not.
The second time I seen it, I was probably about sort of like 20 something. I thought it was interesting, but a bit convoluted.
Well, it's a pretty trippy movie.
It is.
Yeah.
Somebody smoked some worm poop while they were making it.
I watched some of it when I was real little too, and I was like, "This is really bizarre."
Well, I'm wondering. I have to wonder if J. Michael Straczynski got his idea for Lando Minari from the original Dune movie.
Maybe.
Because the styles and kind of similar.
Oh, maybe.
It's possible.
Dune. That's one I got to see. I'm kind of waiting for it to come out on a rental so I can see it. I'm not willing to pay £15 for it on the cinema rental system that they're still.
HBO Max for a month, you can watch it.
Yeah. Well, we don't. I'm not sure we get a HBO Max here.
You may not be able to get that there.
Yeah. We're getting Disney, and we're going to start getting Paramount Plus sometime next year. So.
All right.
You have to pay extra for that stuff. We have to pay extra for the British stuff.
Well, for the Paramount Plus stuff, because I'm a Sky Movie subscriber, which is kind of like our equivalent to HBO. I'll be getting Paramount Plus for free.
Oh, that's good.
There you go.
Congrats.
So who's next?
All right.
Hang on. Do you have an honorable mention?
Oh, I had a third one, but I realized sort of in 2021, time has become very confusing, the passage of time.
Yeah.
And so I picked one that was a perfect honorable mention. And then I realized just now I checked and I realized even it came out in 2020 and I could have sworn it was.
Go ahead.
It's fine.
Okay. Okay.
One of my choices should have came out in 2020.
It's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Everything is weird. All right. Thank you. So I really loved A Quiet Place Part 2. I thought it was super scary. As a fiction writer, I loved how they told the story with almost no dialogue.
Yeah, isn't that wild?
Yeah, it was fascinating. I didn't think about it until afterwards that every once in a while they talk, but really it was, the expressions in their face and their body movements and the music.
That's when you know great acting.
Oh, it was so I thought it was just fantastic in terms of storytelling in a different kind of way than you normally get. And it was scary without it being unbearably scary. It was just scary, normal scary. Mm-hmm. So I love anything that really is able to build that sort of slow feeling of tension over the course of the story. So I thought it did that really well. So that's my honorable mention.
We haven't watched the second one yet.
No, we love the first one.
There's so much stuff to watch. I mean, we just can't get to it all.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to literally make it a full-time job, and even then it would be a struggle.
Yeah. And I do Supernatural Rewind every month.
We're rewatching seasons of Supernatural at a time.
For Urban Fantasy Dragon Con track. So
that takes up some time.
Yeah, eats up some time.
There's 15 years of that.
Show went on forever.
Yeah, I think last season that I watched all the way through was like season 13. So I still got 2 seasons left to watch of it.
Yeah, the last season's kind of disappointing, to be honest. But
it's hard to do a good last season of anything.
It is, and you watch it for old time's sake at some point.
All right, whose turns now, Jeff?
All right, my movie. So a couple of these have already been mentioned, but I have a different honorable mention. So I usually talk about Marvel movies and say that they're good, but they never reach greatness. However, my top 2 actually are Marvel movies this year.
Oh, cool.
So Eternals, as Marx mentioned earlier, Eternals is my number 1 choice.
It was a good movie.
I loved Eternals. I'm Chloe Zhao. Zhao did, I think, an amazing job writing and directing this movie. The fact that she took 10 different characters, they were all unique. I actually cared about all 10 of them. They all had amazing, I think, good dynamics.
I didn't care about all 10.
All right. Well, hey, this is my turn.
Julie's tough.
Hey, I didn't diss Dune when you guys were talking about it, right? I didn't like that.
Thanks, Jeff, for your restraint.
But yeah, I mean, like I really cared about the characters. I thought the acting was great. The action sequences were really well done. Like it was just, I think, a really well put together movie. Like everything worked for me for this movie. Yeah, like I loved it. Very close second is Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
So I'm a huge martial arts fan. And this movie has some of the best martial arts sequences that I've seen in a movie.
I loved the sequence on the bus. That was just awesome.
Yeah.
But the bus is the one everyone talks about, and I agree that is phenomenal. For me, though, actually, my favorite one is the first one you see between a younger version of his father and mother in the forest when they first meet.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of the most beautiful sequences I've ever seen in terms of martial arts. It's like romance and martial arts all together, and it's just phenomenal.
I really love the setting of that. You know, that kind of blew me away more than the martial arts. If I'm honest, I mean,
Yes.
martial arts was fantastic. But
Yeah, the forest, the leaves swirling around, all that cinematography was great.
It's just a beautiful movie.
It is. So 2 Marvel movies now. I'm actually, Mark's really, or everybody else, but I mean, Mark's, you and I talk about this a lot. I'm really excited about now. And I usually don't get super excited.
Well, good.
Yay.
do you have an honourable?
I do. My honorable mention is No Time to Die, the latest James Bond.
I haven't seen it.
This is quite possibly the greatest James Bond movie ever made. It is an amazing send-off for Daniel Craig. Craig is fully in his own as James Bond in this movie. He could not be any better. The supporting cast is great. The story is great. It's a wonderful send-off, an emotional send-off for Craig as James Bond. I highly recommend seeing this movie if you haven't.
It's basically much more of a faithful reproduction of You Owning It Twice than You Owning It Twice movie was of the book. They borrowed quite heavily from You Owning It Twice, the novel.
And also some nice odes to older James Bond stuff, like with the Aston Martin, and he actually says a couple puns in this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay.
Well, that's kind of a nice segue to my top 2 and my honourable mention, because one of my top 2 happens to be No Time to Die.
All right.
Pretty much for the same reasons. I just think it capped off Daniel Craig's tenure as Bond superbly. And I like the fact that I like the storyline, how current it was. It kind of isn't surprising that they held it back as long as they did, given the given what Rami Malek's character's plot was and what he was up to in terms of the nanite virus thing sort of thing. We're doing spoilers now, I'm afraid.
Good job, Ian.
Yeah, well, I wasn't, but you, I guess you are.
I mean, I like the sort of like I really liked it, and I thought the part where they descend upon Q when Q's waiting for his date to come was hilarious.
Yes, that's a funny scene.
It just had everything. It had it kind of blended the old with the new in a way, because it kind of it wasn't the most grounded of the Daniel Craig films, in that you had the that gadget plane that they use. I thought the new 007 was brilliant, and I thought the way that was done was quite respectful. There was a lot of people fearing, oh no, the new Bond's a woman, she's going to be crap, and all this sort of thing.
Wait, why did you switch to an American accent when you said that?
Ian.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
I don't do accents.
All right. I guess his like dumb fan voice just sounds American to me.
All right. Well, I guess it fits.
But you had all the haters descending on it before the movie even came out.
You should never judge until you actually see something.
You should
honestly, that's how I
watch
feel.
it first, then say something. Don't.
That's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what happened to one of my TV choices I'll get to later. Everyone was hating on it before watching it.
I was like, you always watch it first.
Then you can hate it all you want. Decent.
Yeah.
I thought the new 007 was fantastic. I kind of liked the rivalry they had, and then the grudging respect at the end when she gives up her, the mantle of 007. It's really nicely done. I'm not going to spoil the ending, but I will say that I wasn't surprised by the ending. I could kind of see it happening, because it was the only way that he was ever really going to, be able to see out Daniel Craig's Bond, given what the character's arc has been throughout the movies.
I've never been a huge James Bond fan, although I will admit to there being having a certain amount of sometimes fun nostalgia for some of the Sean Connery, him as James Bond. Yeah, I mean, I can watch a little bit of that, and it's like, it's Sean Connery and he's being all James Bondy and there's like really bad puns and he's driving a cool car. I mean, there's something to it a little bit, but they all kind of run together for me. I've never been a huge fan, but we did watch a couple of the the Daniel Craig, and I thought they were actually pretty good. I mean, for someone who's never been a huge James Bond fan, I watched them from beginning to end and was entertained the whole time. So.
Yeah, for me, Craig's run, even though he's not my favorite Bond, though I think he's awesome in his movie.
Yeah, they've been good.
The two of his movies, Skyfall and this one, I think rank among the top 3 Bond movies of all time.
Yeah, I saw Skyfall. I remember him going, because I was like, oh, okay, we'll watch it. I know you want to watch Bond. And I was like, well, if I don't like it, I can always just fall asleep or something.
I think it's time to cast someone totally countertype.
Yeah.
I think they need David Tennant.
What?
Just kidding.
Why isn't Idris Elba the new James Bond?
Oh, yeah, he would be perfect.
Idris Elba would be fantastic.
I think he's too old now, Idris Elba.
Nah.
I think maybe 15 years ago.
No,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's still ageless
He's in
enough.
the Suicide Squad, and he was quite good.
Yeah, I was going to say, after having just seen him in that this year, I think he's still got Bond in
Dark
him.
Tower before that. And
Yeah, he can still do it.
What was the Fast and Furious one? What was whatever the spinoff was? Yeah.
There are so many.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but I've enjoyed Idris Elba for years and years, and I love that.
You don't need to apologize for that.
He was great in Luthor when he did that show. I mean,
He's awesome.
Yeah, I think he's got it in him still. To be honest,
James Bond to me isn't a young.
No, I wouldn't think he would be that. A young, cocky guy is not as sexy as kind of like a more mature, suave, confident
I
man.
think they even go when they're casting someone, they usually go for someone that's around about 35, 40.
Yeah, I think they could get away with a little bit older now.
So that they can get at least 3 to 5 movies out of them.
Yeah, but I think he's got it in him.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing: they're not going to cast a woman as Jane Bond.
That'd be cool, though. I'd watch the hell out of that.
I don't see why there can't be a spinoff.
They could have Daniel Craig's on-screen James Bond daughter.
Well, I mean, 007 is just one of these agents. Why can't they have
There's
other
lots
agents?
of there's many double O's, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, why can't she be another 00 agent?
Yeah, like they had in this movie, they had another.
Yeah, I mean, to me, honestly, that could be a very profitable franchise.
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah, from a business standpoint, if you could do 00 agent franchise where you can crank out a few movies, maybe a limited run series on a streaming channel, and people put out some books. I mean, how is this not a profitable?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could cross over 007 with 008 or whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yep. I think so. Well, in reality, women make excellent spies. So.
Women have made excellent spies since like the beginning of time.
There's an all-female spy movie coming out, the 355.
Oh, really?
No.
And by the way, Marx, it has the word "the" in it, so you're gonna love it.
All right.
Yeah, as far as women spies concerned, you have Mata Hari
Yeah, exactly.
and people like that. So I'm not personally against there being a female sort of like spy fan.
Men are more likely to let their guard down around a woman than they are a man. So, I mean, they're not smart for doing so, but they are. So that makes for great spying.
Yeah. Would be cool.
Okay, should we move on to my second choice?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, my second choice is going to surprise a lot of you because I don't really do animation that much, but I really enjoyed Raya, the Last Dragon, which was, I think it came out around about March.
That's another one we've been wanting to watch.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that one.
And, basically it's set in a fantasy world called Kamundra, where humans and dragons live together in harmony, but when a sinister monster sort of like comes into being, all the dragons are sort of like kind of scared away, exiled, that sort of thing. But it's a really sweet movie.
Just no spoilers, please.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, because we all are wanting to watch it.
Yes, they'll go. I won't spoil the ending, but
and the animation's really good as you'd expect. You know, the storyline's pretty good. As in, you got these different factions in it. You know, as you had in feudal China or feudal Japan. I'm not sure which country it was.
It's Chinese influence.
But you know, I really enjoyed the heck out of it, and you know, it wasn't really that hard of a story to follow. And you know, the characters were likable. And spoiler, has a dragon in it.
Oh, God damn
What?
it! Now I can't watch it.
good job. Jeez, kind of like our anthology.
Kind of like our anthology book.
Actually, you know what? I want to add it because I actually have held off watching this because of the story I wrote for Dragons of a Different Tale anthology. Because my story has a water dragon in it. It's Chinese influenced fantasy world. So I deliberately didn't watch Raya because I didn't want to be like influenced by it at all. So now that the book's out, I can finally go watch the movie.
It's nothing like your story. It's,
Excellent. Glad to hear that.
That's why we avoided all gunslinger dragon riders stories.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Actually, the funny thing is, I had been not watching a lot of Westerns lately. A friend of mine several months ago passed away, and he and I used to just talk constantly together. We were always talking about a Western we'd just seen or TV show we were watching. And after he died, I had a hard time watching anything for quite a while. And so the story we wrote actually helped me get back into it.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I feel a lot better.
And my honourable mention, this was really hard for me to sort of like, because I've watched quite a lot of movies this year, even though I've only been to the cinema once, and that's for James Bond.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for me to nail one down, but I think as soon as the Marvel movies have been mentioned quite a bit already, and I'm not saying that they were rubbish or anything, I really enjoyed them. But for the sake of having something different as an honourable mention,
Yes,
and
please.
it kind of ties in with Catherine's choice as well, I kind of like to give Free Guy an honourable mention because I just thought, you know, it was just something very, very different that I wasn't expecting to actually be so as good as it was.
I think
Oh.
that Ryan Reynolds guy might go.
Yeah, he might catch on.
Yeah.
It was a perfect role for his type of humor.
Yeah.
His delivery. Yeah.
But I thought Jodie Comer, I think her name is, was absolutely brilliant. You know,
Totally.
You know, she I remember seeing one of the clips for the publicity after I'd seen the film, and Ryan Reynolds was joking around with her, and he was going on about the fact that she could do about 74 different accents.
Who is this again?
Jodie Comer.
Oh, no.
Killing Eve.
She was in King and Eve.
Oh, yeah. I've seen Killing Eve. I haven't watched a lot of it. We saw like that pilot episode. Oh, she Eve?
Yeah, she plays Psycho.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's a very good actress from what I saw.
But she you know, it's a completely different role to what she has in King and Eve. She's funny in it. She's really good.
Cool.
Nice.
And the chemistry between her and Ryan Reynolds is a lot of fun to watch too. So
That's good.
Free Guy's my honourable mention.
Oh, this list of movies we got to watch.
I know,
It's just
right?
getting bigger and bigger.
I don't know if I really did an honorable mention, except the three-way tie. So I'm going to throw in one honorable mention real quick because I loved Godzilla movies when I was a kid. So Kong versus Godzilla.
Yeah, that was, I didn't really want to watch it because I love both of them. And I'm like, I don't want to see them fight each other. I love them both, and like, I was honestly like worried emotionally about watching them pummel each other.
That is very sweet, Julie.
I really was so worried. I was like, I might have to stop watching this part of the way through. Like, I just really was so worried. But it was so good. And I still adore, and Mothra. Oh, Mothra was so wonderful. So I am.
Yeah, well, that's the previous.
Oh, that was the previous one. Wasn't it? Yeah, that broke my heart, to be honest. But yeah, I was worried about watching it, but that was so good.
Yeah, we binged a bunch of the MonsterVerse.
So it ran together.
Yeah.
Yeah, we watched them all like in a row.
Because I actually somehow avoided a lot of it.
I cried about her. I was like, Mothra.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Kong versus Godzilla as well. I mean, that's why it was so tough because that would have been another one. That was another one on my list for honorable mentions.
It's amazing how those characters are so, so heartfelt.
Well, I think, and they make such a great choice, the whole monster verse, because when the monsters fight, a lot of it's from like lower angles, so it's like as if you're there, like you see these giant monsters fighting around you and
They're
stuff.
not monsters; they're just sweet critters. They just happen to be big.
I think it makes it feel a little more real and stuff, and they've done a good job.
It's going to make you laugh, but you know how I watched that film? I rented it on Amazon, but then afterwards I went and watched it on a virtual reality headset in a virtual bar on a 100-foot screen.
Holy moly, that would be amazing!
So it was, and I'm using the new the Meta Quest 2, which has a higher resolution than the original Oculus. So it's not the best out there, but certainly for the money, it's probably the best quality thing you can get for under £500.
And afterwards, you can believe that a giant gorilla can fight with an axe.
Yes. Well, why couldn't he?
That's good storytelling.
Yeah.
All I know is that they're very sweet. They're just misunderstood.
Yeah, I mean, it's not.
But if anybody else was worried because they were worried about watching them fight each other, I was too. But I'm telling you, it was worth it. It was a good movie.
Yeah, they capture the feel of the old classic ones. It's a fun little.
I'm sorry, but I think a
franchise.
lot of the humans were the monsters. Personally,
we just need a crossover now. Eternals versus Godzilla.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I'd be rooting for Godzilla.
Oh, no.
Oh, you rather they fight Khan? Is that?
I'd be rooting for
Mark,
Khan.
don't say it, although do it.
That'll be James Bond versus Khan. That actually rhymes. James Bond versus Khan. No.
James Bond versus Kong.
No.
I know what they should do. They should do Shang-Chi versus Godzilla, but for Shang-Chi, instead of having an actor, have like claymation animation.
They had gigantic monsters in Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
They had dragon.
And in the Suicide Squad, they had a giant monster. They had kaiju.
Yeah.
All right. So we're devolving or tangenting or something. What's next, Ian?
TV. And should we go in the order that we've been going in? You first, Matt?
Oh, sure. Let's see here. TV's tough.
This is hard.
Because we watch a lot of TV.
I watch too much.
Yeah, me too.
So there's a lot of stuff that I bet other people are going to say. And, actually, no, I don't want to go first. Because I want to pick something somebody else and say.
Okay, well, here,
why don't you go first?
I have a category of honorable mention. So, was it like Lucifer and
Beyond the Walking Dead.
Beyond the Walking Dead, World Beyond, and Cowboy Bebop, and was Supernatural final season this year too?
I don't think so.
Okay, that was last year. Okay, so those are all like a group of honorable mentions of shows that I like. I absolutely love Lucifer, but the final season was just very disappointing. I loved Walking Dead World Beyond. It's the only Walking Dead series I actually like. But I was angry that they capped it at only 2 seasons. Cowboy Bebop, I'm really, really loving. But before I even finished the season, they've said that they've canceled it. So I have like a honorable mention category of shows that I would love to pick as my top ones. But because of like the people who make it, they either like Netflix canceling stuff or the people who make it ruining the end of it for me, I can't really name it. So it's
Netflix is so frustrating because they're always doing that. Like Cowboy Bebop was just, I feel like, finding its rhythm. It was still getting started and it was still finding an audience. Like I discovered it really late, like about 5 minutes before it was canceled.
Right.
And it's just not right. They don't have patience to see kind of like
they've canceled
how it might
so many
evolve.
good things. And so, those are like shows that I would love to say, yay, these are some of my favorite. And then there's like also, I loved another, like Only Murders in the Building was really great, but that's not really the genre that we're talking about. So I can't really mention those. So I guess my top ones would be a tie of a Marvel MCU tie of Hawkeye and WandaVision, and then the Nevers, So WandaVision to me was just brilliant and amazing and creative, and I loved all it was a different genre every week that they did on the TV shows, and it was so emotional and beautiful, and Hawkeye, I am just so digging Hawkeye right now. I mean, it is such a great, great show. And then, the Nevers.
You guy with bow and arrow. I mean, what woman wouldn't dig Hawkeye?
It's a good point. And the Nevers is just such a wonderful show, and we've always loved Joss Whedon, and so so I have a 2-8 MCU tie for one, and then one slot, and the other slot I would have to say that the Nevers, and then
Julie, are you volunteering to go first on this?
that was I just
that
went
was
first.
her.
Yeah, that was me.
Now I can step in.
Marx didn't want to go first, so I took his spot.
I didn't want to take her choices because
we're a team. He wanted to step back. I jumped in.
His ladies first.
That's cool. I got a bit lost there, you see, because I was wondering what was going on.
So I second her stuff about Lucifer, and Beyond the Walking Dead World Beyond the Walking Dead is
Walking Dead World Beyond.
Yeah, it's like a YA,
which is
Walking
probably
Dead.
why I like it.
Yeah. So it actually brought me back into Walking Dead because after some deaths in season 8 or something, I kind of quit watching it for the longest time.
And I've just never cared for that show, but I loved this one.
It gets to be kind of, but yeah, the YA's got a little more hope and such in it. And same with Cowboy Bebop, awesome. And it's a shame that they've canceled it. I think
we haven't even finished.
I feel so bad because I don't know if he's a showrunner or just one of the producers and writers, but Javier, who
Grillo, Mark Squash.
Yeah, he's got my name in his name.
Yeah.
He created a show a long time ago called Middleman.
That was amazing.
That was great. It was kind of unusual, a little bit like Cowboy Bebop, and it got canceled quickly by ABC Family because it was a little bit too much for
before
family.
It was Freeform. It was ABC Family.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was ahead of its time. I think it was just too forward thinking.
Yeah, so I feel bad for Javier because he's always getting stuff canceled.
But he's brilliant.
I think he did Dark Crystal too, which got X'd by Netflix too. So Netflix is not nice.
They just don't appreciate his brilliance is what
he's like Van Gogh.
Yeah.
He's ahead of his time.
He is.
This is a shame. Anyway, so I would second. So I would say Hawkeye. It's great. I maybe it's so hard. They're all the Marvel shows have been really good. They're just good in different ways. They're all like Falcon.
these were okay.
Falcon and Winter Soldier is similar to Hawkeye in some ways.
No, Hawkeye's much better.
But yeah, I think Hawkeye might be their best in general because it's not quite as experimental as WandaVision,
Which was amazing.
Or Loki. Loki's pacing is a little odd. So I think Hawkeye would be one of my choices, and then I would also probably have to say she said Nevers, so I'll let her keep Nevers. Except I will give a shout out about that awesome water scene that was amazing,
that was
where this guy has that power where he can walk on water, right? And then how, when he gets in a fight with her on top of a river or whatever that is, a stream.
In a river.
That, he's able
He's on the water. He can't go in the water. He can only stay on top.
That choreography of that fight scene was amazing. It was just so unusual.
It blows your mind how they did that.
I thought the whole show of Nevers was really, really good. I mean,
it was amazing.
Really, really enjoyed it. I'm a bit gutted that we're having to wait so long for the second half of the series. And I'm really hoping that if we do get the second half of the series and when it airs, that it manages to get picked up for a second season despite the controversies.
I'm sorry. The whole thing, a lot of all this got started going against Joss Whedon from his ex-wife. I don't take anything that an ex-spouse says to heart about an ex-spouse. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, here's the thing. Whedon had already left the show before any of that came out, so it really has nothing to do with it.
Exactly.
We should always remember, even though Whedon has a good vision and stuff, that he's just one person, and TV it's a team.
That is one person.
Same with Buffy. There's Jane Espenson who came from there, David Fury, I believe.
Yeah,
a lot of talented writers worked on that.
There are so many people involved. It is a single individual, and again, someone's opinion about one single individual. So,
but the problem is the Twitterati and the media. We'll keep having that single individual, and the TV broadcast will probably cave and think, "Oh, we can't carry this show on. We'll cancel it."
Cancel culture.
Well, hopefully not. I hope because it's a good show. It's got a unique vision.
It shouldn't punish everybody.
Well, and for one thing, it's not like we're talking about, to my knowledge, unless I missed something, like an actual crime. We're talking about bullying, which sucks, but there's
also someone's opinion about
but
it.
there's a lot of bullies in workplaces who shut down every company.
And I mean, one actress who's like, oh, this and that, her stuff sounded a little bit weird, and she doesn't get much work.
But what you do in that situation is you fire the bully, and
you
everybody
move
keeps
on,
working, and that's what
they
did.
The show.
They did that. So
okay, so which ones are you going to?
But
pick
let's not
then?
talk about this stuff. Let's talk about the stories.
Yeah. What are you going to pick then?
So I think I'm going to pick. It was kind of a tie between Superman, Lois, and Shadow and Bone.
Yeah. Those are great.
I think I'm okay, just because I don't want to be all superheroes because it's a bit much. Let's say Shadow and Bone because
although Superman and Lois is quite good.
Superman and Lois is very good.
Very, very good.
And I think it's the hope of the CW superhero universe because I feel like they've lost a lot of momentum since Crisis. I know Jeff and I have talked about that before on DC Action Hour and on Super Geeked Up. So Shadow and Bone, different.
Yes,
it's why
that was really good.
What's kind of funny though is even though the main storyline's good overall, I have to say the secondary storyline or characters, the Crows, are like my absolute favorite. I love those characters.
They're great.
They're different. You got a gunslinger. You got all this, different criminal mastermind. There's something you don't see in fantasy very often, like almost at all. And I look forward more of them, more of the overall story. Let's say Shadow and Bone and then Never and Hawkeye. Yeah. So
I like how you guys somehow work in 7 shows to 2 spots.
Yeah.
I know.
It's
talent.
Yeah. We were told to pick 2 things each, and then the host picked 7 things.
Don't worry.
It's absolutely genius. But don't worry, I've got a show that probably none of you have thought of.
Well, good. Good. All right, let's move on. Who's next? Was it Kat? Was last time?
It's me, but I'm curious about what Ian's going to say. But yeah, I'll go. So Shadow and Bone actually was one of mine.
Cool.
It's hard for me to imagine that it was 2021 because this year is so weird with time, but that show
was last year.
Yeah.
April, actually.
I know, it's crazy, but it was absolutely riveting. It was amazing. And I can't wait for the next season. It was so good. So that would be an easy one to include as best of for me. The second one and the honorable mention are both kind of mockumentary comedy sci-fi things. Mm-hmm. What We Do in the Shadows, season 3, I thought was ridiculous and awesome. And I loved how it's a ridiculous show that somehow includes story arcs for each character, so they grow and change as the seasons go on. And this season was no exception. And the honorable mention, it's by the same team, the Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement team. Is Wellington Paranormal, which is, about 2 not very bright New Zealand cops and their slightly smarter boss who investigate paranormal crimes. So zombies,
that sounds cool.
Ghosts, vampires. Yeah. So both of those shows, What We Do in the Shadows and Wellington Paranormal, they kind of have a similar offbeat sense of humor. They're like really clever, not stressful. So if you're stressed out, they're really great, selections. And I loved those shows this year. They were great. In a really intense year, you need to be able to laugh too. So. So that
right now is when we need to be able to escape and relax.
Exactly. So they're great for escapism and just ridiculous, humor.
Have you seen Ghosts yet?
I have not.
Oh, that's a really funny show.
I would love it, probably.
You would. It's really, really good.
I'm going to throw in another. I'm going to cheat like you guys and throw in one more. I'm enjoying the Wheel of Time series so far. I feel like it's off to a strong start. It's always weird to watch something that you read first because you have your own vision and your imagination. But I think they're doing a good job, and I like it.
Yeah. Kate Fleetwood is proper evil. Damn.
Yeah.
Evil.
Yeah, I have to say I was unsure about the first 3 episodes.
Right.
But episode 4 and 5 I thought had really great performances. I thought that's what kind of hooked me into okay, this is maybe in the right direction. So
I think the first 2 episodes, it was it was kind of slow the first couple of episodes, but once the characters were kind of established and the plot kind of was moving along, I think we're going to have some exciting episodes next week, though, because they've kind of gotten away from all the politics of the White Tower and everything.
Yeah, well, it's slow, but I can understand why, because if you hadn't read the books,
you have to do a lot of kind of world building.
Yeah, there's a lot of world building you got to set up for it to for you to care, make any sense later.
Right.
So I get why it was probably a good idea they dropped 2 or 3 episodes at once, because they probably realized that they may not hook people with that first episode. So, but yeah, it speeds up, and when they separate and allows you to see the relationships a little bit. It's something I learned when I did a book with a large cast, is that you really need to separate them. Because it's just too hard to juggle everybody and make them get any real moments and stuff.
Memorable.
Yeah, when you pair them off or 2 or 3 of them separate, it's like suddenly becomes way easier to do that. So you can have a lot more powerful moments between the characters.
You'll end up with a bunch of nameless hobbits you can't keep track of.
Yeah, you get 13 hobbits or whatever, dwarves, I mean. And
yeah, dwarves, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reviewing it on the website for the last couple of weeks since it started. And generally, I've been, I'd say that I've been, my reviews have been quite favourable toward it. So.
Yeah, it was a little like, when they got the butt shot and stuff, you're just like, whoa, are we doing the Game of Thrones here? What's going on? We got a little nudity thrown in there randomly.
Yeah, that did feel random. Actually, it didn't quite fit. But whatever.
What butt shot?
Oh, the guy, the warden.
First episode, right? Is that what you're thinking about?
Yeah, there's a bath scene between the warden and I can't remember his name now, but the sorceress.
Moraine.
Yeah, I'm bad about names. So, but they go in there naked. So, and I was like, was that really necessary? I don't know. It's like.
Well, we remembered it, Marx.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen a lot of it, but I saw some of it at the beginning. I haven't really watched it. I just saw a few minutes, but it seemed so it was really weird. Like, this isn't for men. It's only for women. Men you're corrupting it. Men are this. It seemed a very man-hating show. It was really weird.
If you've read the books, though, hopefully in the show it becomes clear. It depends which sort of faction. Like the ones who wear all the red, they're the ones who are kind of think like that.
Yeah. Well, and then there was this other girl who was like, "Oh, you get a braid in your hair after they try to drown you in a river," and then all the men are still kind of like, "Oh, you're just a man." And it was, I don't know, it just I haven't really watched it, but I was like, so is this a world? I haven't really watched the show, but the few minutes I saw, I guess, is it like flip-flopped where it's a world where women are in charge and men are subservient to women? Because that's what it looked like.
When it comes to magic, but not everything else.
I think what it is the dragon has been sort of like a different person of different sets. Each sort of like millennium, each time the wheels sort of turned. So it's kind of flip-flop back and forth between a male dragon and female dragon.
And there's dragons?
I think what happened in the past, and correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not at all an expert in this universe, but I think it used to be both genders could do magic, but either the dark one or this dragon, the last dragon who broke the world, corrupted it. So now if men get it, they turn insane and stuff. So only women can use it without.
Like I said, I haven't actually watched it, but I saw a few minutes. I'm like, oh, this is kind of funny. It's like such a man-hating show.
I feel like that was overcompensating for Game of Thrones, like how Game of Thrones.
Like I said, I haven't watched it, but what I saw, it's not that that's necessarily bad if that's what the world is like, but it felt like they were trying too hard, like that aspect of it. I just kind of found it laughable. It just kind of made me chuckle. Yeah. I was like, they're just trying too hard to be like, look at us, we're post Me Too. Yeah, we're really yay women,
I think they balanced it out better as it progressed. Once you get to know the guys more, and too, that helps. So.
It's very, very, very obvious that the Reds are kind of like the men-hating ones, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's
which is, well, it's I've generally quite enjoyed it. It's it's kind of like one of those things. It's kind of slowly getting better as more and more is revealed, and it's it's one of those few shows that I really have to concentrate on to kind of keep track of all the characters. So it's actually really, really difficult to review.
Yeah.
Have you seen it yet, Jeff, or have you?
No, I don't have Amazon Prime, and the trailers didn't move me enough that I wanted to pay for it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you'd like it or not. You might. I don't know. I know. Not sure.
I'll just watch the naked bath scene.
Well, that's probably all over YouTube now.
Everything's on YouTube.
I'm just waiting for the Marts to go to a lineup of naked butts, see if you can identify.
What?
Mark, no one can see Marx's butt but me.
Oh, okay.
No, and I wasn't saying we should see.
No.
Butts. I think you should
He's
go
going to show Marx a bunch of butts and see if he can identify.
I once
the right
worked
butt.
on a movie where they wanted me to do a stunt.
Naked.
And they refused. They didn't tell me until the day of it was going to be naked. And I was like,
He was like, no.
I'm not
You
gonna do it."
can't
It was
like,
like
spring this on me.
$150. It's like, you're not get $150 with a scene where I'm naked. It's like, no.
It was going to be
It's like-
complete, full body, full frontal nudity. And they were like, "Oh, you said no. You were vague. First of all, he wasn't supposed to be doing these stunts. He was supposed to be doing some coordinating, some fight and stunt coordinating. He wasn't supposed to actually be doing the stunt." And then they tried to tell him that he had to do it that day. They were going to pay him $150 and they wanted him to be completely naked. And he was like, no, you can't. You cannot just spring this on somebody and force them to do it.
I'm so glad I didn't do it because when we watched it, it was like, it's not just
The guy who did it lost his job.
fully front. Not the guy, somebody else.
Oh, someone in the scene lost his job, yeah.
Not only fully frontal, but slow
motion. Slow mo shot of him falling. Full frontal nudity. And there was a man who was in that scene who was like a school principal and he lost his job because of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I was once asked for $50, Mark. So you're higher value than me to do the same thing for this movie called Down by Law about a rock band. And I was like, no, are you crazy?
So, Mark, see how valuable your stunt ass is?
I know. Now I feel better. I was like, I'm 3 times.
Well, it wasn't really his ass they were wanting to film.
I know. We're talking about full frontal.
We're talking frontal here. It wasn't his ass they were wanting.
Well, Ian and I haven't been offered any money, so you guys are still ahead of us.
They won't give me money for that kind of thing.
They would pay me money to put clothes on.
They actually wouldn't accept my asking price.
Oh, wow.
How did we get on you being naked?
I don't know. We're wondering over the place.
Wheel of time. It just,
Yeah. All right. Well, then I'll get back on track with my list. Then.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't know what we're doing now.
Please, Jeff, save us.
All right.
Is it getting hot in here?
Wheel of time flips over to my list.
I don't know. Honestly, I think it's starting to get hot in here.
We're talking about a lot of nudity. That's why.
I'm fanning myself.
Okay, Jeff.
So I got one that has not one new one and a couple that you guys have already brought up. Number one on my list is the live action Cowboy Bebop. I am, I guess maybe as you would say, Ian, right, gutted a couple days ago when they announced they canceled it. Like I was so fucking pissed off.
I'm angry.
I still am.
Because I've still not watched the 4th episode.
First off, please keep watching. You, Marks and Julie too. Keep watching it. It's still worth watching. The whole season.
It's so good.
It's so like this show. Like Marks and I have talked about this a little bit, but this has a very signature style, which is awesome. I think the action and like the martial arts, even the opening scene, are amazing. John Cho and Danielle Pineda in particular are standouts for me as Spike and Faye. The show is just like, it's cool, it's fun, it's an interesting mix of like old 80s, 90s tech and like futuristic tech. It's just like a very unique, distinct show, right? And I was loving it, and I was so excited to see more of it. It was definitely my favorite show this past year. I actually went back, and even though I am a big fan of anime, I had never watched the Cowboy Bebop anime. I'm actually watching it now, about probably 6-7 episodes in. So I believe, comparing them so far, the live action is very faithful in tone and style, while still doing somewhat of its own thing, its own storytelling, which I think is what good adaptations do, actually.
Right.
So when I brought this up with other people, I did get a lot of pushback from fans of the anime, of course, about how terrible the live action is. Some who had seen it, some who had not. One thing I will say to people out there, I get it if you love one thing and it's not what you want, but when you criticize something so vehemently online, you are basically guaranteeing that you will never see more of that in any form whatsoever.
Exactly.
Oh, I would never want to adapt it.
Here's my response to those people.
Yeah. It's like you're just now there's no more Cowboy Bebop at all, folks, and there's not going to be any more anime. That's been 20 years ago, so you're getting nothing now.
Exactly.
And so it
Good
made no
job.
sense, basically.
Hope they're proud of themselves.
Even if you didn't like it, maybe it'll get better, because guess what? I fucking hate Star Trek Next Generation Season 1. It's terrible, and it's one of my favorite shows of all time because it got great.
Well, the first 2 seasons of Star Trek Next Generation were a bit rough.
They're not. They're bad. It's a fucking bad show. Excuse my language. But season 3 onwards, like, holy shit, this show is great.
Yeah.
But I think Cowboy Bebop was great. It's awesome from the beginning.
It was. It is. You're right. The live action is. I haven't seen the anime. The live action is fantastic, and John Cho is just a great actor. I'm sorry.
I think it's like, I feel like everybody who says they like it, well, most people are people who have not seen the anime,
Yeah,
or
so
at least not care.
If
that much
Netflix
about
was
it.
smart, they'd be like, "Hey, we're picking up a whole new group of fans."
Yeah.
I don't also know why 3 weeks into the release, or after the release, because it was all at once, of course, on Netflix,
Right.
they announced cancellation. That doesn't really make any sense to me, because at least don't announce that till later, even if you made the decision, because you're just killing people watching it, right?
Oh
Right.
yeah, you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at least, don't you want to make more money off of it at least,
Right.
even if you're going to cancel it?
Because
I mean, we've stopped watching stuff because they've canceled it.
well, yeah, because when we knew Jessica Jones was canceled, for example, we love Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
But we still took a while to
It took us
actually
like a
sit down
year
and
to
watch
actually
it.
watch the next season.
Yeah, because it was kind of like, oh well, it's over
We've never
anyway.
finished
So-
Travelers or Sense8 because we were into them, then they canceled and we're like, oh.
Yeah, me too on those 2 shows. I really liked them, and I didn't finish them, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why.
Because they canceled them.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy when you do it
Exactly.
that way.
They're idiots.
And Kat, you're right. Netflix is really terrible, I feel, in doing one
They're the new
season of
Fox.
shows. Yeah.
Well, there's always this pattern in television where when you have a new channel, a new thing, they're very daring and they take chances and they stick with stuff, right? And if you think of like when early days Sci-Fi Channel and stuff like that, but once you get established a little bit, then the dariness goes away. They
become
won't take chances.
cowards.
Yeah, they're too worried about investors, shareholders, too worried about I don't know whatever, and
Nothing creative.
they don't take chances anymore. So yeah, I think that's where we're at with Netflix right now. Is
Well,
they're
Jeff, just to reassure you, the first 3 episodes I liked, so I do plan to watch the rest of it. It's just
Good.
mad finding time at the moment.
And because in episode 4, Faye comes back in, that's my favorite character, so you should keep watching it.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I absolutely think what you were saying, Jeff, about, people screwing it up online, you are absolutely right. So give them hell. Just you be sure to tell people that everywhere you go.
Some of the people I've heard that hated it, who loved the anime, a lot of them, I'm sure not all of them or anything, this is just a few I've heard, they hated it and just dropped it the first episode,
Right.
And it's like, I think you need to give it a little bit of a chance. Because it's like
some of them didn't even watch it.
Well, because I'm kind of going, what did you expect? So you wanted identical, but then you think they look goofy because they look too much like the characters, but then they're diverting the storyline. I mean,
well, they couldn't
it's
find
like-
a woman with anime body proportions, and she wasn't wearing paper clothing.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
When they announced she was cast as Faye,
She's a gorgeous woman.
I love Danielle Pineda. She's great.
And people are like, she doesn't have the right body type. It's like,
She's
what?
one of the prettiest women on the planet, for God's sake. What else do you want?
I hate to, again, listen, I'm a big fan of anime. I hate to tell you, people out there, anime body types for women are not realistic.
No, it's ridiculous.
Someday we will have the technology.
Can you imagine how ridiculous a living human being would look? Actually, I mean, your brain would just short circuit. You would go, "What the heck am I looking at?"
Yeah, it looks great in anime, but yeah, live action's not anime. You got to make changes.
Oh, you got to.
Why is she wearing a bud on her chest?
Part of the issue, though, Mark, is I think, right, that people, I talked about this with Super Geeked Up too, but some people get so into something. I didn't realize until I talked to some people that Cowboy Bebop is like one of these, some people call it sacred cows, or like these holy grails of shows, I guess, for some people. It wasn't for me, obviously, because I hadn't seen it. And they're so invested in it, and it's so important to them that anything that does not fit what they're expecting or what they want, right, they're going to hate on.
Yeah.
And first off, it's totally cool if you don't like the live action. I get it. That's totally fine. But I don't think we need to. I don't know. I'm just big in general about not spewing this negativity and
But why do you
vehemence
have to
towards
ruin
something.
it for everybody else?
Yeah.
Because you're right. Because there's like us, a group of people who can still love the live action, and you can still love the anime. The anime is not going anywhere. It's on
Just
Netflix.
Shut up and
it.
watch the anime and leave us alone. Let us watch what we like.
People forget how subjective everything is.
Here's a crazy idea. Maybe if the live action did really well, then maybe they'd have a sequel to the anime.
Yeah, maybe they'd bring that back.
They might bring it back.
Yeah, that was my point, right? Now that they canceled it, you are guaranteeing probably at least a decade or more from now, nothing at all. I don't actually think you'll ever see it again, to be honest with you. But definitely not until way, way, way in the future will anybody try this again.
Probably. I mean, yeah, because Cowboy Bebop, I liked it when I watched it a long time ago, but it only lasted a season, so
really?
It wasn't like a long last.
I
thought it was a long time too. This is pretty common with anime, though. A lot of times they only do one season. It was 26 episodes, and then they did one movie afterwards.
So these people have got their panties in such a bunch over something that's a generation old and only lasted for 26 episodes, and I'm sorry, you people need a life. I'm sorry, you ruined our live action show. I can tell you need to get a freaking life.
We were having fun.
Yeah.
It's William Shatner's on our show, folks.
I know. I think people, if you don't like something, I get it, but don't make it your mission to destroy it.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I feel like that happens.
There's
too
a lot
much.
of things I don't like. I just don't want.
If I don't like something, I just go find something I do like.
Well,
right.
I don't need to I have better things.
That's what a well-adjusted human being does.
I have better things to do than.
Listen, I didn't like Dune, but I think that's awesome that Kat loved it so much. That's great that you got so much enjoyment out of it, right? Like I don't need to hate on
Thank you,
Dune.
Jeff.
I don't need, and a lot of people are liking the new Dune, right?
Fair enough.
Look, I never liked Game of Thrones or Walking Dead. I don't care. Marx has watched them. I'm like, cool, enjoy, go for it.
Yeah.
I didn't like Lost. I could never find it in the TV schedule.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Mark, you got to keep up with these puns here with Ian.
I know, I'm falling behind. I'm getting lost.
All right, anyway, so after that long Cowboy Bebop discussion, which was well merited, though, I feel my number 2, which has not been mentioned, is the new show Kung Fu on the CW.
Love
I
it.
haven't watched it.
Haven't seen it.
Love it. And I'm a real fan of the old one.
Check it out, Mark. It's totally up your alley.
I need
Julie, I think you. So Kung Fu is a reboot of the David Carradine Kung Fu back in the 70s.
Only with better martial arts.
Yeah. No, this one is actually way better, I feel. The martial arts are actually awesome in the show. Like, it's really well done. The action scenes are so good. It's about a young woman from San Francisco, but she goes to a Shaolin monastery for 3 years, then comes back. Olivia Leong is the lead. She's great. The whole cast is awesome. Yvonne Chapman, who's the villain in particular, is amazing. You really stand out in terms of her acting and her kung fu.
I want her to be my future wife. I just
I can understand. Here's why this show is it's not just the martial arts. And at its heart, this show is about a family. It's about her parents, her brother and sister. Nikki Shen is the lead character's name, and it's really about those family dynamics, an Asian family living in San Francisco. And then there's also all this awesome kung fu action and like kind of this thing with her family, like the history of her family and how that's tied into like these kind of mystical kung fu things. It's great. It's really well done. It was on the CW. Now it's on HBO Max as well, so you can watch either place the whole season. And it has been renewed for season 2, which I'm very happy to.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, Jeff. I love the show. I love the insight into Asian culture and the family dynamics, and I pretty much fell in love with all the characters right from the first episode. Just thought they really loved it.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's no like annoying characters or bad characters. Like, they're all really good. They're all interesting. And then my honorable mention will be the one you guys have already mentioned, but Shadow and Bone. I really dug that. I knew nothing about the books, but I really dug it. Jessie May Lee is great as Alina Starkov. I actually really like that main story, but I agree with you, Mark. The crow story is really cool. The crows are cool.
They're so great.
The only story I don't like is the one with the witch hunter guy and the.
Oh yeah.
That's like so forced to me. It makes no sense whatsoever, and I don't believe a second of it.
But so in the first book, those two secondary storylines don't exist in the first book. At least, I guess.
They come in later.
I guess some of the stuff might be happening.
You're not talking
off-screen.
about the man and the woman that have to band together to survive.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I actually like those two together.
Well, a lot of people do actually. I know a lot of people do.
I really like them.
I don't buy that.
I don't know. I liked it. It was the woman that he was like, oh, you're not like a real woman, and she. Yeah. I dug those two. I had fun watching.
Shit, and she's like, "Oh, you're great." Oh, okay, yeah, sure.
I really liked that storyline.
It's because it's like a Hallmark movie. That's why.
I liked
more
that.
Death.
I liked that storyline.
But the rest of it is awesome. The rest of the show is awesome.
Oh, I was gutted at the end when he thinks. Sorry. There's a sad thing that happens between the two of them. Sorry. There's something sad that happens between the two of them at the end, and I was gutted. It just broke my heart. I actually liked that one.
Yeah, because the crows aren't actually in book one.
No.
I think, I don't know, maybe they pop in a little later. Or I don't know, maybe it's after the first three.
Yeah, as much as I do like that storyline, I do.
I think the crows are aren't they a different series, and they combine them in the show?
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I think
That was a brilliant move.
what happened. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know if that's the same storyline. I think they just I think that's a different time period. So I think they just want to work them in.
That was a very good call.
I feel like there's talk about making a spinoff too, just with the crows, but I'm not sure.
Well, whoever made that call made that decision to bring them in, even though they weren't in the books. That was a very good decision.
No, I'm a diehard fan.
It's got to be just like
crows
the book.
weren't in that story. It's terrible. Everybody should not watch this.
Boycott it.
I'm just kidding with you.
It is weird though, right? How some, by the way, this show has also been renewed by season 2, and this is actually a Netflix show. It's interesting how some adaptation people like how we get so up in arms about it, and other ones they don't, right?
Yeah.
Like the Witcher, which season 2 is about to come out from when we're recording this. I mean, maybe I don't know. Maybe that's just because everybody seemed to love that, but that's also it's not the same as the books or the video games. The Witcher, they're doing their own thing.
Yeah, I really struggled with the first season of Witcher. I still haven't watched the whole of it. Oh
well, hurry up before season 2 comes out. I've only had 2 years to watch.
Season 2 is going to be telling a straightforward story from beginning to end and not time jumping.
Yeah.
And that's part of the problem.
The time jumping was a bold choice, I'll say.
It's a very bold choice.
I wasn't a fan.
I joked around that somebody watched Westworld and thought they needed to do that. But then I've been reading the books, and actually it starts off the way they collected. It's a bunch of short stories that jump around, and so I'm like, well, maybe that's where they got.
That's what the first season is. The first 2 collection of short stories.
Yeah, so I think that's.
It was interesting, but I have to say, I mean, it wasn't bad. But if it hadn't been for Marx, I probably wouldn't have finished watching that season.
I enjoyed the animated film.
Yeah, I liked that one a lot.
But the first series, I really struggled with time jumping. I mean, I struggled with Westworld as well to a degree. But I think I was a bit more invested in Westworld.
Yeah, I thought it worked better on Westworld.
I think it was more important to the plot and the twists and stuff. It wasn't really. It's not important for Witcher. It's just they're just trying to make stuff fit in this timeline. I think what it really is, I think what the TV writers were thinking is that we want the one girl in it, the storyline with her, Siri. We want her in it because usually you want to cast your leads out of the gate in season 1. But there's a different time period. So then they were like, well, how are we going to make that work and not avoid these stories? And that's why they probably went down that road. So
I think you're right. They wanted to work Siri in when she doesn't actually come until like the very end of the second collection of short stories.
Yeah.
Yes. Were they also trying to sneak in a little bit of an advert for Apple in there as well?
Ooh.
Huh? Siri.
It's spelled differently, Ian. Come
on. Okay. Jesus Christ.
You may not be able to tell with our American accents.
Gerald keeps asking her for directions. Just he sends it the wrong way. All right, Ian. What is we have to Ian's list, right?
Oh yeah. Sorry.
Ian.
Have we had Catherine's yet?
Yes.
Yep.
It was before.
I see you were really paying attention.
Oh, we on the time. I was paying attention. Wasn't paying attention. Okay, my first choice, which is it kind of bends the rules a little bit, as in it's kind of like a similar sort of case to James Bond in terms of James Bond's sort of like spy-fi. Well, this is kind of like it falls under the domain of the same sort of like domain as Sherlock Holmes does and things like that. It's a show on Netflix called Lupin. It's a French show.
Yeah. I've seen some of that. Yep.
So you can watch it either as dubbed in English or in French language. And it's inspired by the adventures of Arsène Lupin, a gentleman thief, and it's about this this guy comes to France with his father. They're kind of like immigrants, and they're trying to get by. And his father gets framed for a crime that he didn't commit, which has a guy sort of like being raised in an orphanage in a system sort of thing. And he becomes sort of like a gentleman thief based on the Arsène Lupin gentleman thief books, and this first series, I think they've aired all parts of it now. It's basically about him slowly but surely, coming together with a plot to take down the guy that sort of like framed his father.
Yeah, cool.
And it's very cleverly done. It's he uses technology as well as his wits to pull off some pretty magnificent heists throughout, and I really enjoyed it. It was a bit of a surprise thing because I don't really watch many of the foreign things on Netflix, and they always choose dub because I can't keep it with subtitles.
Mm-hmm.
I just really enjoyed that one. It was a good one. And my second one is Star Wars: The Bad Batch.
Oh.
Haven't seen that one.
Yeah, we haven't caught up on all the Clone Wars yet. And we're bad about Star Wars animation.
I finished Clone Wars last year, and I was like you. I basically binge watched a load of Clone Wars to catch up, and Bad Batch came out, and I caught it from the beginning. I just really enjoy it. I just love these these characters because they're kind of like the odd ones out, as in they're not sort of like traditional clones. They're kind of like variants. And as someone that's on the autism spectrum like myself, I kind of relate to characters that I like that more than I do sort of like standard, type of characters. So, and anything where there's sort of like a quirky character, and it's why I like Doctor Who, it's why I like Star Trek. You've got Spock, you've got Data. You've got the character that sort of like sees humanity as a puzzle box.
Well, and you don't have to be like, I'm not on the spectrum, but I'm always sort of an outsider. I've always been sort of, so I'm always sort of on the outside of the mainstream without meaning to be. So that sounds like, it's very relatable for a lot of people, I hope.
Well, I kind of like these characters, Tech, and I'm going really bad on the character names. But what I've also liked about it is it's kind of cleverly tying in with the Mandalorian.
Cool.
As in the last episode, it kind of is, although it's set years before, because it's set just after the Clone Wars and after the Purge. It's kind of already beginning tying with the Mandalorian and the Child and the Cloners and all that.
It's all connected.
Cool.
All connected, and it's sort of like it's just sort of like another puzzle piece. So I just really enjoyed the heck out of it. I've enjoyed how they've done it. I really love the characters, even though I can't remember all the names. But I love the characters and love the storytelling and the animations. I was kind of surprised because when I went in, I didn't really have any expectations either way.
Yeah.
I kind of went into it with kind of an open mind, I guess, and kind of enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
So my second choice, honorable mention. Damn, I'm stuck.
I never seen that.
I haven't heard of that one.
Huh.
There's so many.
This guy gets stuck in a hole. He's still stuck in a hole next episode, the next episode.
Okay, I'm going to be controversial here and say Star Trek Discovery Season 3.
Cool.
That's good.
I think by going to the future, the 900 years in the future, it's kind of gotten itself away from the continuity of the original. And I think the addition of Book as a new character.
I adore him.
And everything.
His cat.
It's just
And his cat.
And his cat, yeah, Grudge.
Grudge.
And I think the non-binary character, I think it's Adira, and that they've just added more interesting nuance to the show.
But no clean on boobs. What's up with that?
and no Klingon boobs or Klingon sadomasochistic sets where
because Marx wasn't available for it to be a bodybuilder.
They were only going to pay me $200 that
They
time.
could have
I was
used
like,
my
goodness.
boobs, and that could have worked.
Well, I'll give season 3 that an honorable mention. Season 4, I'm still watching it, so I can't really decide either way. It's got a ways to go.
Yeah.
I have to say the book and his cat are my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
There's a saying where these people don't understand what a cat or a pet is. And they're like, you keep this animal captive? No. She's like a queen. Oh, and he named all the stuff he does for her. And they go, and is she grateful? No, not even a little bit.
That's awesome.
He goes, no, she's a cat. She's not even a little bit.
Yeah. That went from a show that really season 1 was like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't care for it.
Yeah.
Season 1.
And it got better in season 2, and now I think at 3 on, it's really found it's not trying so hard to not be hopeful and stuff like Star Trek's supposed to be. And trying to be just edgy for edgy reasons.
Edginess just for edginess sake.
Yeah, and now I think it's got a lot better. It's not as good as Picard yet for me, at least.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to second season of Picard, but I think more so I'm looking forward to
Strange New Worlds.
The Strange New Worlds, because I loved Anson Mount as Pike. I thought he did a brilliant job as Christopher Pike in the second season. And also Gregory Peck. Is it Gregory Peck's grandson, Ethan Peck, as Spock?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, I forgot he was his grandson.
I thought he was good. And Rebecca Romaine as number one. Not really seen enough of number one, because she didn't really figure very much in the in the second season of Discovery, I don't think. We still need to get to know her take on that character. But then again, the original version of the character as played by Majel Barrett was kind of aloof as well. So
yeah, just one episode. It's hard to get too much.
It's hard to gauge.
Yeah. I'm hopeful about that show. If they can catch the right tone, spirit of it, I think it could be really a standout show for them. I mean, I like it better when Star Trek moves forward. You know, I like Picard. I like that's a time period I'm most interested in. But if they're going to do something in the past, the way they're doing it with Strange New Worlds, at least I think, is a better way than what Discovery started with, where they're just like, let's change everything and let's get clean on boobs and get edgy.
Oh, and make the Klingons not Klingons.
Yeah. Yeah, right. If it's going to be naked Klingons, I want the real Klingons. Come on. Anyway.
Well, that's my honourable mention. There's so many other shows that I've watched this year. I've still not watched Skin and Bone.
Skin and Bone.
Shadow and Bone?
Shadow and Bone.
That's the erotic version.
I was going to say, what kind of movie are you talking about
the
here?
ones you watching, Ian?
It's just so like
I thought that Deep Space Nine spinoff, Deep Space 69 was kind of weird.
Yeah.
Or Star Trek Voyeur.
It's a good one, Ian.
Or even Star Trek: The Next Penetration.
Oh boy, I think has been thinking about this.
He
a lot.
has been.
I think he can do this all day.
I'm sorry. I'm just the master of puns.
Oh.
But yeah, that's my honourable mention. So moving on to the miscellaneous selection.
Yes, our last part 3, the miscellaneous. I'll start this one.
Please.
It's a good job we didn't do 5 choices, isn't it?
I'm going to do animated. It's my choices. And my 2 picks, it was kind of tough. I think my 2 big picks are going to be Treze, which is on Netflix. That is an adaptation of a Filipino comic book or graphic novel series. I'm not sure what they call it in the Philippines. And I think it's really good animation. I think it's an interesting story. I've been introduced now to Filipino folklore. Now I'm learning more about it.
Basically.
Yeah, and I'm trying to mix some of that into my own urban fantasy stuff. And I think it was well-told, storytelling. They do this thing in the beginning of every episode where they kind of flash back in the past, and then they go to the present, and so they're revealing stuff in the story slowly. And I just thought it was really well done.
I just looked that up, Marx, and the style looks awesome. I'm going to add it to my Netflix queue.
Cool.
Yeah, it is good.
It is a little violent or a little dark at times.
But it's good.
But it is a good story. And oh my gosh, I can't remember the name now. Tikbalan, maybe, I think is what I say they're called.
Oh yeah.
They're these horse type humanoid aliens, supernatural beings that they are very large. They have horse heads and they have elongated limbs, and they're really they like to challenge people in the stories. They challenge people to races and trick them and win. They're like tricksters in some ways. Mm-hmm. Anyway, they're in this, and they were one of the standout monsters that I really liked. I was like, wow, why haven't I seen this creature before, I should say. And sentient being.
Mm-hmm. Non-human
sentient being. That was definitely one of the ones that stood out to me. I mean, the artwork is really great. It really adds to it. There's some stuff I was just like, I still don't know what they were exactly.
No, we couldn't figure some of it.
I'm curious. I hope they do season 2. And her Treze's bodyguards.
The twins.
The twins are really interesting characters too. Yeah. That really stand out different than other characters I've seen in urban fantasy type stories. So anyway, the other one is animated. We mentioned it a little bit, is The Witcher: Nightmare of the Wolf. So I really didn't know what to expect, and I like Witcher, but I was a little bit frustrated by season 1, like their narrative flow. So I wasn't sure what to expect, but I actually kind of sort of like it better than the live action, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I did too.
It was a good story. It was well told. I loved the twists, the ending, which I will not say. Vesemir, I think is his name, who is a mentor to the actual Witcher that we know in the rest of the series.
Did he speak like this? You go, my name is Vesemir.
No.
No, don't ask him to do that. It creeps me out.
Missed opportunity.
I know, right? I think that was an interesting character. They did a bunch of cool stuff in that I think Witcher has the potential to be a really long-lasting franchise the way they're setting it up, because we got a prequel series in the works. We got of course more Witcher series. If they do more animation like this, I think Netflix will have a good series if they don't cancel it like Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, no kidding. Or Teenage Bounty Hunters or Travelers or something.
Oh, Teenage Bounty Hunters was so good.
Amazing. Wasn't that wonderful?
I loved it. It was so clever. I could not believe they canceled it.
That was one of the best shows I'd seen in years.
Yeah.
Oh, it was just so different and great like cultural insight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's another show that was great. It's not sci-fi fantasy, but it was a great Netflix show.
We keep on cheating.
And Kenny Partisan as Bowser was just really. I loved him in A Different World when I was a kid. And
I didn't realize it was the same guy until I looked it up later.
Wayne.
Yeah, he's brilliant. Absolutely.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah, it's such a shame that show didn't last. And great storylines that we'll never see completed now, sadly. So Netflix, don't cancel these good shows.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the themes of the evening.
We just call it that. Please, Netflix, stop canceling shows.
Please, Netflix, stop doing this. Stop being Netflix.
NetAxe. Quit axing the shows. So anyway, an honorable mention was kind of tricky. I would say I almost said Batman the Long Halloween. It was good.
Oh yeah.
I almost said What If.
Oh yeah, that's good too.
But then I said for my honorable mention is going to be Invincible, because I love the comic books Invincible, and I really think they did a good job adapting it.
And Mark's read the comic books and I never had, and we both watched it and we're both able to really enjoy it. So
yeah, it won't be everybody's cup of tea necessarily, but I like the different stuff that Kirkman does in this universe, and I think they really captured that tone and feel, and it's just something a little different. It's not quite as pessimistic as The Boys, but it's not as hopeful as like the MCU, so it's somewhere in between. Yeah. But it tells a story that we never seen from superheroes, which is tough to do. So
I thought they captured the humor of it really well. The really dark humor.
Yeah, they captured dark humor really well, and I like how I think it's been a while since I read it, but I think all the changes they made. I mean, I remember a lot of these plot beats and stuff, so they definitely
there's
stuck
something very
pretty close
terrifying to it. about it. When you realize what's going on, it's like, wow, that would be terrifying.
And it's good enough that they made enough changes and tweaks and stuff that, like, even though I know what's probably going to happen, it still is very entertaining. And I think that's a good way to do an adaptation. If you're going to do an adaptation that's close to the original, that's a way to do it. Now, if you did this live action, to be fair, you would not be able to do it the same way. Like, his costume probably wouldn't look as good. And the special effects would be very hard to pull off with the money, because these are powerful superheroes and villains doing stuff. So I guess what I'm saying is, when they do live action Invincible, please, Invincible fans, don't hate on it.
Don't hate on it just because
at least not immediately.
Animated.
I mean, unless it's really bad. No, don't hate on it.
So you did animated.
Yes, so that's my animated picks.
My other is actually books, and there's one. It's not exactly genre, but it does have its cozy mysteries with that you get to see it from the point of view of like the animals talk, and you can understand what they're saying. And it's the Mrs. Murphy series. It's actually been going. It started in 1990, and this is like book 30. And it's written by Rita Mae Brown, and it's credited as by her and her cat, Sneaky Pie Brown. There's a new one that came out. I'm cheating because I haven't read it yet, but I've read the whole series and I love it. And it's called Claws for Alarm. And I love those. It's great escapism. And if you care at all about any kind of animals, cats and dogs and horses and possum and if you like mysteries, it's a really fun read. And then of course I'm going to cheat and do a shameless plug, and my other favorite book that came out was our Dragon anthology, Dragons of a Different Tale.
Yeah.
The best.
And
of the year.
all 17 really good short stories. Marx and I wrote a western, cowboys and cowgirls riding dragons. And the honorable mention is Marx's Obsidian Monsters, that is not out yet as a novel, but is on Kindle Vella, and we're releasing it chapter by chapter on Kindle Vella. So
which is why I get it.
So I am doing a shameless plug for the Kindle Vella series, as well as our anthology book. So
you have all the authors on, or not all the authors, but all of us are authors in the anthology except for Ian. So.
Right. So you've got a few. You got a few authors here, and all are worth reading. And thank you, Ian, for all of your support.
Yeah, Catherine, why don't you say the name of your story? Because I don't think you have yet.
The Racing Dragons of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right. And then go ahead, Jeff, and you say the name of yours.
Yep, mine's called Wailing and the Water Dragon.
Yeah. And Marx and I wrote. It's a Western one called A Wild Beast of the West.
Wait, I just realized I said the wrong title for my book. Or my story. It's the Dragon Racing Club of Brooklyn.
Yeah, you changed the title midway through.
I did. All of a sudden, I
just
decided to wing it.
Marx and I kept going back and forth. He was like, it should be A Wild Beast of the West. I was like, no, it should be Wild Beasts of the West. And then he was like, no, but the line is
it should be the Wild Beast.
Yeah, and then he was like, but the line is A Wild Beast of the West. And then I was going, well, we should drop the A and we should just make it Wild Beast. You should have heard how many hours we spent going back and forth. A Wild Beast of the West, Wild Beast of the West, or Wild Beasts of the West. And we went with, and I agree, he was right. It should have been A Wild Beast of the West, which is what we ended up with. But it's so funny how you can just obsess over a detail, you know.
Yeah. What about just calling it Wild Beasties of the West?
Oh, that would have been adorable.
Yeah. Okay, so Catherine, you're next.
Oh, okay. So my two additional things. I'm going to go with a book first. I read a book this year called Dust and Grim by Chuck Wendig. It's a middle grade book about a couple of kids who are born into a unique family business. It's a mortuary for monsters.
Oh, cool.
And they have to save the day, but first they have to learn how to get along. You know, 'cause they're siblings who didn't grow up with each other, you know. So it's a perfect book if you're feeling stressed out, which many of us are in 2021. You know, it's fun, it's lighthearted, it has enough tension to keep you turning pages, but never enough to actually stress you out. So it's a great middle grade kind of fantasy book. Really fun.
Awesome. And Chuck is a really talented writer. So.
Yeah. And it's a lot lighter if you've read his stuff. Like some of his stuff is very intense. But this one's just a really fun read. So different than his usual thing. And the second thing is with music. So an album came out this year by a band called Me Rex, and the album is called Mega Bear. And it's full of song titles like The Weapons of Artemis or Saturn, Dragon and Child. Another one's called Krypton. Another one's called Moon Rising. You know, so kind of under the science fiction fantasy umbrella. But the reason I decided to pick it for this Best of 2021 collection is I think this maybe stretches the definition slightly for what counts as sci-fi. But in my opinion, it's truly one of the most original and futuristic approaches to an album I've ever heard.
Oh, cool.
So it has 52 tracks. Each are maybe 32 seconds long. It's designed so that you can listen to the songs. Like if you have listening to it on Spotify, you can listen to it in any order. So each song is written the way it sounds. It could be the first or the last song. Like there's not like a beginning or end point that's clear. So somehow you never seem to notice when one song ends and the next begins because it's like really seamless. So all 52 kind of fit together as one listening experience, almost like one really long song that can have infinitely, you know, like basically effectively infinite permutations, you know, so you can start anywhere in the entire album and it can be a different listening experience, you know. You could start at the beginning, the middle, you know, wherever, and it's a different song that you hear somehow. So it's like just like wildly creative, and very, you know, and kind of space themed in terms of the song titles and lyrics and stuff like that. So I think it fits. And anytime somebody approaches something that's been done before in a way that's incredibly unique, I like to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
So
I'll check that out.
I just added on Spotify.
Yeah,
so.
he just now did. He was showing me.
Yeah, it's cool. So honorable mention, I'm going to mention another book. There's a book that came out this year called The Witness for the Dead by Catherine Addison. So this is the same author that wrote a book that was pretty well known called The Goblin Emperor. So this book takes, you know, it sort of sets place in the same world, takes, you know, follows like one of a smaller character, and it's like it's a pretty it's not a big book. It's like an easy read, but it's a really great one if you enjoy fantasy, but you also really like politics, and that kind of intrigue. So it's just another one that's like this one's a little more intense, of course. It's an adult book, not a middle grade book, but just a great read that I would recommend.
Very cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So then Jeff is next.
My first one is a game called Tales of Arise. This is the latest in the Tales series, which is a very long-running Japanese role-playing game series. And honestly, this game is probably one of my favorite games of all time now at this point. Actually, last night I got to I think the final boss battle. Probably I have not quite completed it yet, though. Anyway, wonderful story, great characters, which is what's most important to me. Great character dynamics. The acting's awesome in it. It has one of the best battle systems I've ever seen in terms of how fluid and fun it is in an RPG. And it also has probably the cutest mascot ever, which is this little baby Snow White owl named Hoodle. That hangs around with the character Windwell. It's an awesome story. It's fantasy based, but it also has some sci-fi elements to it as well. And it's also a beautiful game. The graphics are absolutely beautiful in this, and some cool anime cutscenes as well. So that's Tales of Arise, which is out for many different systems. You can find it for PC. The other video game is Scarlet Nexus, which is this futuristic game where you play members of this special force in Japan that battle these kind of mutated creatures, and you have all the characters have these different powers, like some they call psychokinesis or invisibility, all kind of mental powers. I gotta say it's the most fun I've seen them ever try to adapt some kind of telekinesis or powers like that in a game as you battle. It has an anime style to it. The acting is also really good, and the fighting is really fun. And it's also, actually, I just found out a few days ago, there's also an anime out right now on Funimation of this series with the exact same style and the same voice actors from the game, actually. So I started watching that. That's cool as well. So both of those games came out in 2021, Scarlet Nexus, Tales of Arise. Since Marx mentioned some animated ones, I'll throw in one for my honorable mention, an animated series on Netflix. Now, a lot of people right now are talking about the series Arcane, which is based on League of Legends, and I am enjoying that. But I'm going to mention the other video game series that's very similar to League of Legends that came out earlier in the year, and that's called Dota, Dragon's Blood. Dota stands for Defense of the Ancients. It's very similar to League of Legends. It's a multiplayer online battle arena game. And Dota is 8 episodes. I'm looking at it right now. But it says book 2 is coming January 6th. So they're about to release the second part of it, which is good. So it actually has been renewed. And it's more traditional fantasy based than Arcane is. And but really well acted. You got your warriors and elves, and there's Marx and Kat and everybody and Julie. There's lots of dragons. So it's in with what we were doing.
Dragons.
Lots of dragons in this show. So that's a big part of it, and how the main character has to, I don't want to give anything away, but is tied to dragons.
If only they called it the Dota, then they would be
right.
Or a Dota. A wild beast of the west. A Dota.
A Dota. That's nice, yeah.
A Dota.
But yeah, you can check that out, and you don't have too much to wait for book 2 if you enjoy it.
Cool. Yeah, I need to check it out.
Thanks. And that leads us to Ian.
Okay, well, I've got a graphic novel and 2 video games. Only one of the video games came out in 2020, so I'm cheating a little, but it's because I only got it in 2021 because I didn't get my PlayStation 5 to March of this year.
I can't believe you actually got one.
It took some doing, but I didn't cheat. I didn't go to a scalper. I managed to get one legally. I basically had a friend looking out for it, and we made an agreement. If he could get it first, I'd just pay him for it, and vice versa, sort of thing. Anyway, my video game choice is Spider-Man Miles Morales. I was completely blown away by it. I loved the story. The graphics. With the probably aren't really pushing PS5 to its fullest potential. Because Ratchet and Clank kind of is a game that's the only game really that's done that this year, I think, thus far. But the story of it was, fantastic. I was actually, you're gonna laugh, but I was actually moved to tears by the story because it was so tragic, and
Oh yeah, man, video games can totally do that, absolutely.
And I had my control pad, and as I scene road and stuff like that, I was tearing up proper. I was a sopping mess, and
that's amazing. Yeah,
I don't break down like that easily, and because I'm probably the least sentimental person you're ever going to meet. So it just had me in absolute tears because the relationship between Miles Morales and the character that he goes up against ultimately, she's kind of the villain but not the villain. They have they have this relationship where they're childhood friends, and they did science projects together and this and that, and because of this one event happening in her life and him moving to a different part of New York. During that time that they're apart, her life and her entire world falls apart, and it's just so tragic, and but also kind of hopeful at the end. When you see the people in New York having faith in Miles Morales, i.e. the other Spider-Man. So I just loved the story of it. I thought the combat systems was quite easy to get used to, and I'm planning to play through it again at some point because I loved it so much, and I love swinging around New York in the snow.
Who doesn't?
It's just sort of like something magical about that. The video game honorable mention I'm going to give is another game that came out, and this one came out this year. It came out back in September, I think, for PlayStation 5 and PC, and I'm hoping it gets released on the Xbox S and Xbox X at some point in the future, because I think Jeff, I think you love it in terms of it's basically, based in Chinese and mythology. It's called Kena Bridge of Spirits, and it's about a spirit guide called Kena.
I actually have it for PC. I haven't played it yet, though, but it looks awesome. Tell me more.
It's just beautiful to look at. So like, I spent the first half hour not playing the game at all, just looking at it.
I love doing that, man. I'll stop all the time in video games just to look around at the amazing scenery.
But the combat dynamics are probably really simple, a bit clunky as it moves along. But I'd say it's a game that's kind of accessible to all levels of player, sort of thing. And the storylines, really, it's a really nice storyline. The voice acting is really, really good. My only criticism of it is you don't really get to know much about Kena, the main character. I get the sense that if they'd had a bigger budget, because I think it's an independent studio that have done it. I get the sense if they'd had a bigger budget and stuff like that and had a bit more time to spend on it, they could have done a lot more. But given that it's a small studio that's released it and stuff like that, it's actually a miracle that they made the game as good as it is and as fun as it is.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm looking forward to playing it. It looks beautiful.
And my graphic novel mention, the comic book series of this was released over the course of 2019 and 2020. But they released a graphic novel of it back in October of this year. It's DC Comics. It's a Green Lantern, but Green Lantern with a difference. It's written by N.K. Jemisin, and the artist is Mel Campbell, and it's called Far Sector. And basically, it's a Green Lantern story with a difference because it's a new Green Lantern. And the synopsis is as follows: chosen Green Lantern Sojourner Joe Mullen has been protecting the city of Enduring, a massive metropolis of 20 billion people. The city has maintained peace for over 500 years by stripping its citizens of their ability to feel. As a result, violent crime is virtually unheard of, and murder is non-existent. Well, that's all about to change. And basically, a murder happens, and Joe's called in to investigate it, and it turns out that the political system and stuff like that in this world, it's kind of a complex web, But the long and the short of it is in this world where emotion has been stripped of its people, it's gotten to a point where they're using a recreational drug to get back the ability to feel.
Well, that would make sense. I mean, that's just basic human nature. Trying to make us go against our nature, it's not going to end well.
But and that's kind of like the scheme of it, and it just turns out that one of the politicians is kind of sympathetic to it all. It's quite a complex story. The art is fantastic. And the characterization of Joel Mullein, I'm not sure how it's enunciated. It's spelled Mullein, but the characterization, she comes across as quite likable, a little bit of a smart ass, which is always good. So I like my characters to be a little bit of a smart ass. It's sort of like it endears them to me. And it makes clever use of the sci-fi world in order to make a few sort of like comments on issues such as Black Lives Matter and other issues like that.
Cool.
Well, that's really cool. It sounds like it'd be really interesting. We'll have to check that out sometime.
Sounds more sci-fi than superhero. So
yeah.
Cool.
That's neat. Thanks for letting us know about it.
And that came out in October. It's called Far Sector.
Far Sector. That's what's so cool about this. We can learn something, check out that we wouldn't have known otherwise.
Yeah.
Hopefully all of our listeners will feel that way too.
I'm watching Free Guy tonight.
Yeah, we might.
Except I'm going to call it The Free Guy.
The Free Guy.
Well, we're all a little loose on names of things tonight, I think.
Yeah, well, Mark's always is, and it's a habit I think I've started to pick up for being with them so long.
I want to see a crossover of the Fall Guy and Free Guy.
I used to watch the Fall Guy as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
He had a big monster truck thing, and it was
Lee Majors was in it. He was a stuntman.
Oh, Lee Majors.
He was a stuntman who did not have to show his naked butt or penis.
It was they did not want to show Marx's butt. They wanted to show.
He probably got paid more than $150.
Yeah, they wanted to show an even better angle of him, which again, no one but me is going to see.
I think I paid quite a bit for the intro scene where he's in the bath and he's playing with his rubber ducky.
Is that a euphemism? I honestly
It sounds
can't
really
tell.
dirty. What we just talked about.
I really can't tell.
It's actually in the opening credits.
Oh, it's real. Okay, all right.
He's sat in a hot tub and he's playing with a rubber duck in the hot
A hot tub or a bubble bath?
It's a hot tub. It's outdoors. So, yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I watched it when I was a kid. I don't remember it very well anymore.
I vaguely remember certain things about it and certain episodes, and but yeah, I remember the $6 Million Man a lot more.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I remember him more from the Big Valley.
Of course you would. 'Cause you're
Yeah, I know.
West.
Shocking.
All right. Well, is that everybody?
I think we got everything in.
Got it
Thank
all?
you, everybody, for all your work and showing up and being so entertaining. And
Yeah.
Thank you for having us. Can we give some links out before we?
yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Let's say where we can find everybody. Why don't you
So-
start with our guests, Jeff, and then Catherine, and then Ian and I will do it.
All right. So sorry, there was a whole bunch of smiley faces that just came on our Skype call.
That was cool.
It was cool.
Giving you a round of applause.
Thanks,
Yay,
Ian. I appreciate it.
thank you.
You can find my stuff at supergeekedup.com. I do a weekly geeky improv comedy show at 10 p.m. Eastern on Wednesdays. Marx and Julie actually were just on recently.
Woohoo.
And to talk Dragons of a Different Tale. Speaking of that, of course, you can see my story Wailing and the Water Dragon in that anthology, which you can get at your favorite book retailer. My Super Knocked Up Kindle Vella series, you can also find at supergeekedup.com, which is a superhero action comedy series. And if you like geeky erotica, I write that under a pen name. It's RileyRoseErotica.com. Parodies of stuff like Lara Croft and G.I. Joe and Knight Rider, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And of course, Star Trek: The Next Penetration.
Yeah, well, I haven't actually done one of like a sci-fi one like Star Trek yet, so you're giving me some ideas.
I liked Star Trek Voyager. That was a good one.
Star Trek Voyager isn't copyrighted, but Star Trek: The Next Penetration and Star Trek Deep Throat 9.
Oh, but Mark said Deep Space 69, so maybe that's available.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
I imagine that is. Okay, so Kat.
And I've
Sure.
not seen them.
Sure.
I've only
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
right.
sure.
We don't believe you anymore. Okay.
He just did research for the
He
the
was
Phoebe,
just
for this
concerned. He wanted to
conversation.
make sure
He win another legal status.
Yeah.
Okay, you're next.
All right. You can find me online at Suggestionize on Twitter and Instagram, and then at shatteredworldcreations.com for my blog, which is temporarily down, but will be up very soon.
Maybe by the time this airs, it'll already be back up.
Exactly. By the time this airs, it should be up and running again. So,
good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. And you can also read her story and Dragons of a Different Tale as well.
Yeah. What was the title again?
Yeah.
The Racing Dragons of Brooklyn, I think. No, the Dragon Racing Club of Brooklyn. The Brooklyn Dragon Racing Club.
Just look for the word Brooklyn.
It's in Brooklyn. They're racing dragons.
Yeah, I can sympathize. When Marx and I did our web series, Reality on Demand, we co-wrote it. So, like, I would sometimes show up on set and then I would be remembering the lines from the previous incarnation. You know, like we rewrote it and I would be remembering the lines from before we rewrote it. I'd be like, oh shoot, no, that was the previous version. This is the new version.
I guess the important thing is Dragons of a Different Tale. You will find my story in there, and there's and there's some sort of title.
There'll be a name.
With racing and with Brooklyn. So there you go.
Katharine Dow.
Yeah. And Marx and I, Julie, we have our short story, A Wild Beast of the West and Dragons of a Different Tale. We also are co-hosts on GenreTainment. And go ahead and let everybody know where we can find GenreTainment.com. And then you can find Marx a bunch of other places.
And you can find me at marxpyle.com. We also have cabotcrossing.com, which is the publishing company. And
that's
books.
CABBIT, as in cat and rabbit. Not
Yeah. We like to merge things together, apparently, and everything. GenreTainment.
Yes.
And then the link we can find the links there too. But otherwise, books2read.com/Dragon's Tale is the link. We'll take you to all of the vendors to buy the book. I'm also on Twitter at Mr. Marx, and that covers me.
I think that's it. Yeah. And then Ian.
Okay, well, I'm really simple. I know I am really simple.
We're so tired, you can tell.
You can find me at sci-fi-post.net.
Awesome.
And if you're listening to this, you may already be there.
Yeah, find SFP-NOW podcast and lots of news and reviews, right?
Yes.
And Sci-Fi Pulse.
Yep. And we also have a Facebook page as well, which is facebook.com/sci-fi post.
Awesome.
It's wonderful. Thank you,
All right.
everybody, for being here. Thanks for having us.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Yeah. Happy
Fröhliche
holidays.
Weihnachten und ein frohes Neujahr.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I'm about to celebrate turning 25 tomorrow. So.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Happy
Congrats
birthday.
again.
Yes, please do enjoy.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.